I told you last week, it's rare when my brother texts me excited about a guest on the show, and that's when Benny Safdie was on. It's rare when my sister-in-law texts me excited about a guest on the show, and my wife as well. She's like, what? Why didn't you tell me Channing Tatum's on your show today? How did this happen? Well, it happened, and it's happening. Without further ado, let us say hello to the star of the upcoming film Roofman, which is out this Friday around the world. The great Channing Tatum is here. Wow.
Thanks,
this
man.
is amazing.
Good to meet you, man. Finally.
This is amazing. What a great honor this is for us, really. No one believed me.
Man. I've been watching you forever.
Wow, that means the world. That really does mean the world. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. And what a great film this is. I mean, the story is phenomenal. It's based on a true story. It's I was trying to explain to the guys, it's like, yeah, sometimes in life there are bad dudes, there are villains, but sometimes they have good meaning. They have a purpose. They're good people deep down inside. Is that the best way to describe Jeffrey Manchester, the man you're playing in this film?
Yeah, I think that's a really good way, actually. My director told me one time, he's like, I've never met a hero and I've never met a villain. I've just met humans. And I think it's really easy to take a snapshot out of somebody's life and judge the shit out of them, especially right now in this time that we just, I don't know, I feel like we judge everything. I feel like we judge the world, we judge people, we judge ourselves. This guy, yes, he did absolutely commit crimes. Like, he robbed over probably 45 McDonald's, but he only got caught for one, but he got sentenced for 45 years in prison. He figured that was essentially a life sentence, and he was like, well, if the state isn't going to give me a second chance, I'm going to give myself a second chance. And he broke out. And he's a pretty smart individual, so he didn't just try to get as far away as fast as possible, and he hid in a Toys R Us for 6 months. And he's just a wily character, man. And but yeah, I think in all of our lives, I'm probably 2 decisions away in my life from not being very different of an outcome than Jeffrey Manchester, the guy I get to play in Roofman.
You really believe that? I mean, we know about your backstory, we know about the male stripping, but 2 decisions away, like incarceration, all that stuff?
I mean, I think we're all almost 2 decisions away. True. I mean, I don't know. I think I'm all good and fine, and then somebody cuts me off, like taking my daughter to school, and I'm ready to literally get out and drag somebody out of a car. And I'm like, where did that come from? I wasn't feeling that like 2 minutes ago. And, just bad moments, bad decisions. And, he made some really, really bad decisions. And that... look, I grew up in Florida. I was a stripper, like for real, for a year. I mean, there was a ton of bad decisions, a string of them that could have happened that it would have definitely been a bad outcome.
Are the bad decisions what lead you to stripping, or are they happening while you're stripping?
You know what? I actually, I guess I can only say this because I got out pretty unscathed in a way. I really was looking for, I guess, the abyss in a way. Like I was wanting to have a crazy experience, and I went into that world. And I don't know if it was a bad decision because it gave me a lot of my life experience, I guess. And I'm still pulling on those life experiences today. Not only just to make the movies, but like, I think when people ask me like, how do I become, I want to be an actor. How do I become an actor? And I'm like, well, first, yeah, you got to know if you enjoy acting and if you actually really want to explore what that means and learn how to act. It's like, I want to be a fighter, but unless you're actually going to go do the work to see if you actually can like truly devote yourself to the art of it, you don't have anything. And I think the only other thing that I would say other than technique and actually learning how to act is you got to live a life. Personally, I'm not one of there's so many British actors that just can do anything, whether they can just pour them, they're like water, and you pour them in a vessel and they can just truly be anyone. I kind of can't play anyone that I don't really feel some sort of kindredness or some sort of connection to, that I've maybe had some even thin webbing of connection of my own life to.
So I've taken the opportunity to listen to a lot of your interviews leading up to this interview. I like to do that. I like to hear what people are saying. And what's so refreshing to me is you're a gigantic star. You don't need me to say this, but you seem very willing and open and honest to talk about maybe some things that you're dealing with. Imposter syndrome is something that I'm fascinated by, and I know you talked to the New York Times about this as well. And I'm like, wow, Channing Tatum, like from afar, this guy has it all. He's done it all. He continues to just make hit after hit. It seems like everything is perfect, and he's such a big star, and he's respected. He's not just a pretty face; he's respected as a big movie star. And is it because you come from that that, humble beginning that you feel like, you know what, maybe I'm not that guy, despite the fact that everyone says I am. Maybe I'm still the stripper or the lost kid who didn't make it as a football player. Is it because of that tough upbringing that you still have a hard time fully believing that you are as good as people say you are?
I didn't ever dream of being an actor. It wasn't in my, I don't know. It wasn't in like the possibilities, I guess, of like, these are the jobs that you can have, sort of things. I just didn't, acting to me was like something that happened on a stage in high school that I don't know, I just didn't, I played football, I played sports in general, but I don't know. I think that I came into acting through modeling, and that was a true. I guess someone just saw me on the street and was like, "Hey, I think you can do this." And I got paid to just stand naked and flex in front of a fucking camera. Sorry, I don't know if I can cuss on.
No, go ahead, go crazy.
But it it wasn't very fulfilling as a job, but it paid the bills. I didn't have to have a normal job like that. I've had many normal jobs, and so it did the job of just living, I guess. And then acting kind of came along through just getting a commercial, and then that led into movies, and ultimately, like I was getting parts in movies before I really truly felt like I knew what I was doing. I was kind of just faking it to make it, or whatever you want to call that. And I was just I was barely hanging on, was what it really felt like. And as it kept going, you kind of feel like I liken it to like I don't know I can't remember how old you are, but like I feel like the radio winner that guessed the right song with
Yeah.
like 2 seconds of the song, and like I got allowed into the concert or whatever like my tickets were to, and then I got backstage, and then no one asked me to leave, so I just am sort of like I'm like all right, I'm in this thing now. And then you really put the time and the work in to like truly learn it. And I didn't really even know how much I loved movies until I started to really study acting and film and storytelling in general. And it's taken me a long time to feel, I guess, to feel like I've earned a place at the table. Some of these people that I've gotten blessed to work with, man, they're so good at what they do. I don't even know how to explain it. Like, I would just watch them and go, they're just in so much more control of what they're doing. You have people that are I don't know. You work in a space where you see artists of a different kind. Martial artists that some people just have this like God-given ability, and then some people have had to like truly hone it and sharpen it through the years, and they grow. And I don't know. Like I think mine was really like I had to earn my stripes, and I don't feel until now. I'm 20 years into the business, and I just now feel like I've been like, okay, I do deserve to be here. It wasn't an accident, I guess.
Even saying that, I feel like you stumble just slightly because you can't fully say it. Do you fully
Yeah,
believe
it's
that
hard.
now, or do
It's
you still
tough.
have those
It's
insecurities?
weird. Well, I think of all the actors that I love, like only people that are still here really that I love. But like Denzel Washington, I got to hang out with for like a weekend, and like he's one of my favorite actors, and I just I don't know how to explain it. Like me saying that out loud and thinking of myself that I would be able to like be in a movie with someone that I admire to a degree that is like I don't know. It's like fighting your hero. Like I mean, how do you do that? It's crazy. And movies aren't you're not fighting, but you are going somehow like you're connecting in a very raw and visceral way that is really real time, and you have to show up and really be there. And to say that about some of the titans that I have grown up watching, and that I somehow can, yeah, you're right. I can almost barely say it now that I feel like I could deserve to share an arena with.
The character that you play in this film, which again is out this Friday, October 10th, Jeffrey Manchester. The film is Roofman. He's still alive, right?
Yep, still in prison, Central Prison in Raleigh, North Carolina. Yeah.
Have you talked to him? Have you ever met him?
So I haven't met him in person. I talked to him every day for about 2.5 months. I
Wow.
didn't get I didn't get clearance to talk to him before the movie started. Like the movie starts, and the schedules and the is just crazy. The pace of making a movie is wild, and so I didn't have time to go down and actually meet him when we were shooting. But I'm after the movie comes out and all this press and everything is done, I'm gonna go down and see him because I finally have clearance. But it's weird when you have so many like questions or expectations or projections onto somebody, and then you just have a conversation with them on the phone. In the first 15 seconds of the call, all those questions went away, and he kind of takes care of you. He's just this like very sweet and like genuinely interested human, and actually he's funny. He takes care of you on the phone call in a way, like, because you don't kind of know how to do it, and he does, and he's really, he'd be like, oh, I read somewhere that your daughter likes Irish Celtic dancing. Where'd that come from? And he's just such a fascinating person, and I found myself genuinely just becoming so enamored with him as just a, like, I was like, man, I really like this guy, and if not, like, I really love him. I kind of have to love all the people that I play on some level, even the bad guys. I have to somehow find my way into like caring about them in a different way. But yeah.
As someone who comes across as a thinker, and I say that with the utmost respect, is there a different type of anxiety that comes with playing someone who is a real life person who is alive, as opposed to a Mark Schultz, great film, Foxcatcher, loved it, who isn't here, and so you don't have to hear from him necessarily and say like, hey, you did this, you did that, like, and then as opposed to like a fictional character who you'll never have to hear from.
Right. Yes is the answer. The very clean and short answer is definitely yes. Playing someone that's real, I don't know. I always hate, even playing a soldier or something is really hard. I have to really try to, like, I don't know, talk myself into it, because there's something kind of, I don't know, sacred, I think, about what anyone of service does. But someone that's real, that has lived and has had that truth, yeah, I do. I think you should take it a little bit more serious, and you can't take liberties. Exactly. Foxcatcher was unique in the way that Mark Schultz was involved really, really heavily. I hung, he was on set. I wrestled him. It was, intense. The guy's brilliant and also fascinating. And that one kind of broke my heart, to be honest. Like, I know that we got really close, and he really liked my performance, but he wasn't, I think, at the end of the day, happy with the movie. There were certain elements of the movie that I think he didn't agree with, and ultimately those aren't in my power to control. In a way, that's the director, and I think that was unfortunate. So it can be a little bit of a traumatic experience, and I did address that with Jeff on the phone. I was like, hey, look, we're gonna go make this movie, man, but I need to prepare you. Like, I can't imagine what it would be like for somebody to come to me and be like, hey, I'm gonna play you in a movie. Like, that would be it would be not only terrifying, but I would just be like, how is this going to work? And I really let him know that I'm never going to be him. I'm gonna be like, I've never met you in person, so I'm not going to be able to mimic anything, that your mannerisms or anything. I had 4 pictures to go on about the way he looked, and ultimately just, I don't know, probably 60 plus phone calls. And that was it. And then obviously Derek, the director, I think he'd done 400 hours of phone calls with Jeff, and then all the people connected to the story. But ultimately, the movie is going to be some strange baby of Jeffrey Manchester, the actual guy that did all these things in real life. Myself, that interprets who I'm hearing and experiencing over the phone. And then Derek Cianfrance, the director, that is going to essentially like feather all of these perspectives kind of together to tell the most thematic and interesting and fun story. I mean, and he is the director to do that with. I don't know if you've seen Place Beyond the Pines or Blue Valentine. God, there's so many. He's like one of my favorite filmmakers. So, and it was an honor to get to work with him.
Over a decade ago, you worked with Kung Lee on a film called Fighting. And I remember when that came out and you guys were buddies. I remember you were at UFC 139, I think, when he fought in San Jose. And I remember him also saying that if you wanted to be a fighter, you could have been a fighter. Is that him just like, just kind of being nice to his famous co-star, or is that a legit
100%. thing? No. Kung's hilarious. I love him. We had a really good time on the movie, and we just stayed buddies afterwards. And I've always loved fighting, and I remember passing around tapes in high school of the early UFC days. Like the tape would literally just go around the entire school,
Wow.
and so I've just been a fan of this thing. And Kung was such an exciting fighter. I mean, he was pulling moves that you only do in video games even when he was in Pride and sorry, not Pride. Uh, um, no,
Strike
I'm
Force.
blanking. Strike Force, Jesus. Yeah, and even when he was in Strike Force, I mean, he was doing things that you literally were like, that only is in Tekken, and or like it's crazy.
So maybe you can't be a fighter, but maybe you know about weight cutting, because I did see a post about just like your weight transformation. I know you're not doing drastic weight cutting here, but this is kind of wild. Like, I mean, this is. By the way, for the
Yeah.
record, the middle pick, I would be thrilled to have that middle pick. Just for the record, you say that as like the bad time. How difficult? Now you're getting a little older, right? You're 45. You still look fantastic, but how difficult is this on the body to do this for roles?
It's tough. Man, I can't imagine what like fighters, like how many years they just shave off their life cutting that much. It just what it does to your insides, and like I mean, I don't even do it as fast as they do it. Like I can lose. I used to be able to lose weight like really quickly. I could fluctuate almost 25 to 30 pounds in 3 weeks. Um, this cut was I did a movie where I had to kind of do a dad bod sort of a thing, and fortunately or unfortunately, when I get fat, it kind of goes everywhere. I don't just get like a big belly or whatever. And I was I think in that middle photo, I was about 245. And then in the last photo, I was about 172.
Wow.
And that, yeah, it was a big cut. I only planned to get down to like 185, and then I don't know. Once you kind of get in a rhythm, and shooting is you can have a consistent life. My life in general isn't very consistent. And once you start, I was fasting from when I woke up to about 2 or 3 every day. And then I'd have two, small meals of meat and vegetables, and just my plan, and just light, long cardio. And it does as soon as you get past like that second week, it gets easier when you don't have to like drop it fast. And I've only seen, Kung and certain other fighters that I'm sort of, I talked to a little bit, and like, or I've seen have to cut like quickly because, you're not in camp, like doing this long sort of like, well, I guess I haven't experienced one that, you're doing this long sort of cut where it's healthy, and then you don't bounce back. Most people just lose it right at the very end, and then they put it back on, put at least partially back on, fight night or day before the fight.
Right. And I'll let you go in a moment. Again, this has been great, and I really appreciate the time. I wanted to ask you about a story that we've been talking about here for the last week, and that's The Smashing Machine, the movie that Dwayne Johnson is in. And I guess, I don't really follow it to this level. I loved it. I love the documentary. Mark Kerr's a legend, but I guess it didn't do great at the box office. And Dwayne posted something that I wanted to get your take on. He posted, in our storytelling world, you can't control box office results, but what I realized you can't control is your performance and your commitment to completely disappear and go elsewhere. And I will always run to that opportunity. It was my honor to transform in this role for my director, Benny Safdie. The truth is, this film has changed my life. And so do you understand what he is saying here? Because people are saying like, oh, this was a failure. But he's saying like, I didn't do it for the box office. Is that just Hollywood nonsense, or is there truth there in your opinion?
No, there's absolute truth there. Look, this is a game, right? Like this, thing that we get to do. We have one of the best jobs on the planet. We get to play the highest stakes make-believe game in the world, essentially. And what I have learned is that, I've done movies where I've been like, oh, I want to do this movie because I think it's going to be successful. And, that was the intention. And then, if the movie isn't successful or the movie doesn't turn out well, like it's hard to make a movie, much less a good movie. A good movie is almost impossible to make. So what I've learned is the experience of doing the films, even if they never come out, even if they never make a dollar, you better have enjoyed that time of your life that you spent, and whatever sacrifices that you made, whether it was time away from your kids or your family, or just, we're privileged and lucky enough to, like The Rock is, or Dwayne is, and I am as well, to be able to pick our jobs, and it is a real luxury and a privilege to be able to do that. But you still have to, it's still work, and it still takes time, and it's still hard at times. And I think that movie specifically, I think, is unfortunate that Taylor Swift came out
Yeah.
with her thing on that weekend, and I think it was, it's kind of unfair. I don't care if you're even The Rock, like, Taylor's Taylor, and you're just not going to be able to like stop that thing. It's an unmovable object or something. Like it's a thing. I thought it was unfortunate. Also, I don't even I don't even look at it as a failure. Like I know I haven't even seen the movie yet, and
It's great.
I didn't even see the documentary. So I'm so excited to see it. I think this is such a good year of movies, by the way. Like, with the PTA movie with Leo, and I haven't seen any of these things because we've been doing press for this and traveling and whatnot. But I'm just so excited for movies this year, and I don't know. I'm excited to be a part of a really good movie, and even if our movie doesn't make money, I'll be so proud of it. Like it just I will be, because the process of making this movie with one of my favorite filmmakers changed me as a human, and ultimately, like, I got to meet somebody, meaning Jeffrey Manchester, that I think I learned from. I think his experiences, his mistakes. That's why I love movies. You get to watch people fall down. You get to watch people mess up. You get to watch people make irrevocable, like irreversible decisions. And that's what's beautiful about movies. You get to project yourself into those things and have some sort of kernel of experience. And that's why I love stories in general. And so I think I learned a lot from this movie.
Last quick one, if I may. Magic Mike was
Yeah, of
great,
course.
but I love big sexy Kevin Nash in it, and I thought he was tremendous. What was it like? Any memories of working with him?
All of them. I so much. Me and Kevin. I mean, he's like a big brother or an uncle or something. I mean, we didn't have to write anything for him. He's one of the most. Have you had him on the show?
Never, never. He doesn't like to
You
do a lot
should
of
have
media.
him on the show. I promise you, you
I
will
would
not
love it.
be disappointed. He's the most fascinating human. You think whatever your projection of Kevin Nash is, it will supersede your expectations. Like I remember the first day on Magic Mike 1, I hadn't really hung out with him very much other than meeting him, and I saw his audition tape or whatever, and obviously knew him from, his whole career in the WWF, WWE, all of them. And the minute one where we go in and we're just sort of sitting in this back kitchen area, and where all like the strippers get ready, and and he's just casually in a conversation with Joe Manganiello about Marxism and
Huh.
Cubism, and like all these isms that I had no idea how to even be in the conversation, and they're just like chopping it up about things that you would never guess that they even like would talk about or knew of, and he's just a fascinating dichotomy of like he truly is like a giant gladiator of our time, and then also just like a true Renaissance man or something. Like, I don't know how to explain it. He'll talk to you like till you're blue in the face about like some of the best wines he's ever had. I mean, he's just a he's just a fascinating person, and I love him to death. And he's just is unapologetically himself. He cannot not be himself, and I don't know. That's why I'll always cherish him.
Well, this has been great. Thank you so much for doing this. Really appreciate it.
Thank
Congrats
you, man.
on a
Thank you for having
phenomenal
me on.
career, on a great movie coming out this Friday called Roofman, and for at least one time, the women in my life caring about my show for 20 or so minutes. So thank you for giving me that gift. I appreciate it.
Thanks, man. I appreciate you very much, man.
All the best.
Yeah, please keep doing what you're doing. I'm such a fan.
Thank you, Channing. I appreciate it. There he is, the great, the legendary, the inimitable Channing Tatum. Movie comes out October the 10th. And it's great. It's a great story. It's a coming of age story. It's heartwarming, and it's a true story. And I love those as well. I do want to correct myself. He played Mark Schultz in Foxcatcher. Mark Schultz is still with us. Dave Schultz was obviously the one who passed away as a result of the actions depicted in that film with John DuPont. So I wanted to correct myself. The question still stands, obviously, about playing a real person as opposed to a fictional character. But I hate making mistakes, and I was fixated on that. So I was moving quickly there. My apologies to Mark Schultz and to anyone related to him. Thanks for watching this video. Before you go, if you haven't already, hit that subscribe button for us. Also, give us a thumbs up, leave a nice comment. These things go a long way. And while you're here, do check out the rest of the channel. We've got live shows and full interviews, clips, and a whole lot more. We're doing big things here, and we appreciate your support very much.